Hey, y'all, what's going on? Happy Monday to you. I'm so glad that you're here. I am Tasha Tanks, your go to domestic abuse coach, where I am shaking the silence around domestic abuse and no longer silent, where we turn pain into power, silence into strength, and survivors into leaders to inspire awareness, accountability, and transformation. And y'all did not even hear none of that, what I just said, because I didn't have my mic on. This only happens on live. Well, let me reintroduce myself. My name is Tasha Tanks. Thank you so much for being here. To my Facebook family, to my YouTube family, I'm so glad that you're here. I am Tasha Tanks. I am your go-to domestic abuse coach, where I am shaking the silence around domestic abuse, where we turn pain into power, silence into strength, and survivors into leaders, where we excuse me, where we inspire, accountability, awareness, and transformation. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. We're going to talk about something really different today. Today, we're going to talk about another way to take out the trash. This conversation came up because my husband and I were having a conversation about trash. I know that's odd. I don't know if you ever had that conversation about trash with your spouse. And we were talking about trash because we were talking about, how our son, I was telling my husband, I said, I'm going to take out the trash, our son, he came home apparently and he did not take out the trash. Okay. So I'm taking out the trash. I just don't like trash building up. I just can't deal with that. And so my husband, he was like, you know what? You just need to put that trash in his room. I was like, who does that? Like, I would not do that. And I said that specifically because my husband and I, we are 13 years apart. Of course, he's older than I am, and I love him dearly. And he has this way of parenting that sometimes I just don't agree with it. And I want to ask you all a question. How many parents out there, whether you're co-parenting or you're married but you're still co-parenting, because y'all have to be on the same page when you're raising your children? I would hope so anyway. And how many parents y'all disagree with y'all parenting skills or your parenting styles rather? Because if you are married to a spouse that is older than you or even younger than you, of course the parenting styles are going to be different. And I told my husband what he had suggested that I do, and he has said this before. He said, you need to start putting that trash in his room. Put it on his bed. Because if he don't want to take out the trash, put it in his room. He'll get tired of his room stinking. He'll get tired of that trash being in his room, and he'll take it out. That's probably right. But I told my husband, I said, I just don't agree with that. I do not agree with what you're doing. I said, this must be something that happened to you. I said, because this didn't happen to me when I was growing up. My mama didn't put trash in my room when I didn't take out the trash. She just knocked me upside the head like, I don't told you once. We talked about that too. We talked about how, when we were growing up in the era that we grew up in, our parents knocked us out. Just plain and simple. They knocked us out. They only told us once to do one thing. They didn't repeat themselves. What's up? What's going on, Dr. Beverly? What's happening? I want to ask y'all that question. Please put that in the chats. When you were growing up, at the time, in the era that you grew up, if you have old school parents, y'all old school parents, they did not repeat themselves. If they said do this, do it. Point blank, period, do it. That's it. How are you? Hey, Miss Annie, I love you. Thank you so much for being here. Excuse me. So my husband and I, we were talking about Jeremiah. He didn't take out the trash. Yeah, I'm calling him out. Absolutely. I'm calling him out. Because if you know you're supposed to take out the trash, then as us, the parents, we shouldn't have to tell you what your job is already you're supposed to do. We shouldn't have to tell you to do that. Now, when we were growing up, if your mama said take out the trash, guess what she ain't doing? Guess what your daddy ain't doing? They ain't repeating themselves. You better take out that trash, or else you just gonna get knocked upside the head. That's just all to it. Now, I'm not provoking no violence or nothing like that, no abuse. I ain't promoting that because I'm totally against that. Y'all should know that already because I talk about it every day, all day. But I'm just telling you how it was growing up back in the day. Miss Annie, you old school. You had old school parents. I know your parents didn't talk more than once. They didn't say, do this, do this. They didn't repeat themselves. I know they did. So when my husband and I was talking about it, he was telling me his method of how to get our son to take out the trash. I was like, I don't know about that, babe. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. But he was like, and then I asked him, I said, "But was this happening to you? Did this happen to you when you was growing up?" No, he said it didn't happen to him. He just, had another way of getting our son to take out the trash. And I was like, okay, we have different parenting styles, and we definitely have disagreed on how we parent. But there are times where we have to communicate how we're going to parent, because the way we grew up, we are not going to parent like we were parented growing up, because it's totally different. And my husband and I, this is what I did agree with him on. I said to him, no, he said to me, he said, okay. He said, our parents were old school, number one, and they did not play. They told us one time and we did it. If we didn't do it, we got knocked out. Simple and plain. He said the parents now, these young parents now in today's time, they don't listen. They don't parent like we parent. They ain't doing none of that. They repeating themselves to their children, telling them more than once to do this and do that. Now, I'm guilty of that. I raised my daughter differently than I raised my son. And I'm like, yeah, I see the difference. Even my daughter told me that. She said, Mom, you don't got soft. Like, what's up? I wouldn't have been able to get away with that. You would have knocked me out. Jay, you soft. Like, you totally, you just, you went left with this one. Beverly, you better say that right. Uh-huh. We knew what time my parents was getting off work. We knew it. We knew it. I gotta see this because this is interesting. Yep, that's right. In a hurry, quick, fast. Yeah, we would help our friends. Absolutely. Because we knew about community. We knew about friendship, because we knew that if our friends got in trouble, their mom and daddy weren't finna let them come outside. Or their mama wasn't finna let them come outside because they didn't do their chores. Now we like, dang, you don't messed up the whole schedule. We supposed to be outside playing and having a good time, and you ain't do your chores, and now you got to be in the house. Now, what we gonna do? We had to find something else to do. But that's a good point. That is a very good point. And you know what? And that brings me to another point that and I'm still talking about another way how we take out the trash. But I just want to do this little side note right quick. So my daughter and I, we were talking recently, and she told me something. And this was years after it had already happened. And I was like, why were you so afraid to tell me that? She's like, Mama, I wasn't finna tell you that. No. I said, but how did you think I was gonna react? I thought you were just gonna flip out about it. I said, well, dang, you didn't even give me a chance. Now, this point that I'm getting ready to make, let's go back to the 1980s when I grew up. Now, if I did something and my mama found out about it, it's a whole different story. Whole different story. Now, I knew my mama was gonna act up. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. But my daughter, now, when we talked about this, even though it's years later, and I asked her why she didn't tell me when it happened, and she just assumed that I was gonna flip out, but she didn't give me a chance. And I felt like that maybe I went through that with my mom growing up, that I knew she was gonna flip out. And sometimes she didn't. She surprised me, actually. She surprised me. She didn't, she didn't flip out. She actually responded differently than I expected. And that's what my husband was trying to get me to understand about our son with the trash. Okay, put the trash in his room. If he don't want it in his room, he's going to take the trash out, but it's going to be taken out one way or the other. It's the same way. If the trash was in the kitchen, he will have to take it out. Now it's in his room, he gonna still have to take it out because he don't want his room stinking. So his reaction, his the way he responds to the method of how we got him to take out, or we'll get him to take out the trash, that will be his response. He'll still take it out. I hope I'm making sense, y'all, because this when my husband and I were talking about it this morning, I was like, we didn't get it, excuse me, we didn't get into no argument or nothing like that. We didn't get into no disagreement. It was a healthy, productive conversation. And we were laughing the whole time because I'm like, babe, you have a different way of parenting. Like your style is like totally different. And again, yes, my husband, he's older than I am. So he really got some like old school thinking, like for real. Oh, oh, Beverly. Now you talking something real. The shoe, a flip-flop, a, a telephone, something gonna be thrown at you if you ain't moving when they say move. If you ain't done it when this y'all, I'm getting ready to let y'all in on a little secret. Well, it ain't gonna be no secret after I tell you. So this is what happened to me. I'm sorry for making that noise, but this is like I'm getting ready to tell y'all something. If y'all don't believe it, I have a young lady on here on this line. She'll let you know because we grew up in the same. I grew up in the same neighborhood she grew up in. I used to get in trouble all the time. My mama would tell us to do something, and my sister, she would be watching me, of course, and I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I was like a last minute child. I was last minute, knowing I know full well what time my mama come home from work. But no, I wanted to go outside and play. I wanted to do what I wanted to do. And I figured I can do it right before mama come home. But guess what? Mama came home at a different time. She came home earlier than I thought she would come home. And what she told me to have done, it was not done. And guess what happened to me, y'all? Mm, mm. Oh, yeah. I ain't gonna even have to tell you. That went left because I didn't listen. I didn't follow directions. I wanted to do what I wanted to do. Hey, Tanya, how are you? Thank you so much for being here. You saying something. Dr. Beverly, you saying something. And you know what? That is something that I'm learning now. And I told my children, I told them that I do not want them to feel like they cannot come and talk to me about whatever it is that they need to talk to me about. And the parenting, the parenting is now for me, I see it differently with how I parented my daughter and how I parented my son. And a lot of the times I didn't respond, I reacted. And I did flip out most of the times. And I just, my voice was elevated and all this other kind of stuff, which it shouldn't have been. And that was a perfect opportunity to really look at it the way God would have us to look at it and respond differently. And that was most definitely the perfect time to minister to them, to just sit down and listen and to hear what they have to say. I know growing up, my mom and I clashed a lot, and I love my mom. Y'all know I talk about her all the time. I love her so much. And now that I think about it, my mom has given me a lot of grace because of the things that I did growing up. It was crazy. I did some crazy stuff, y'all. I did some crazy stuff. Oh yeah, and the blame game, it was always like pointing fingers. Well, you didn't do this or you didn't do that. I got that too. I was told that, by my daughter, and it hurt, it sting, but it was the truth. And I'm glad that she's at a point now where she can talk to me and tell me certain things that she wasn't able to express to me when she was younger, when she was growing up, when she became a teenager, when she became a young adult in her, early 20s or just her 20s period. I mean, she's still in her 20s now, but she'll be going into the dirty 30s this year. She'll be turning 30 years old. And now we're at a place where we are able to talk about things in a manner where she's telling me the truth about some things that she wasn't able to express to me. And I have taken those things and I have just looked at it at a way where, okay, I didn't realize that I was doing this, but I was only doing what I had experienced, and I did not have a chance to express when I was growing up. Because back then it was like, you listen to me and that's it. You hear what I got to say and that's it. We didn't have a lot of, we didn't, well, I'm speaking for me. I didn't have a lot of leeway of expressing myself in a way where my mom would listen to me or my dad would listen to me. It I didn't get a lot of that. I didn't get that until I became grown, like grown, already married, grown. I didn't get that beforehand because, I was a teenage mother, and then I had, my son at 29. I hadn't gotten married yet. That actually came a year later. But I did not get to talk to my mom in that matter until I became a grown woman in my own home, with the spouse, in my own space. And so that is a lot that we have experienced. And just the parenting, the communication is so important. Even when it comes down to what you do with your child when you're telling them, okay, their job is to take out the trash. Okay, they don't want to take it out. Like my husband said, put it in their room. They'll take it out because they don't want their room to stink. Either way, they're going to take out the trash. Okay, again, I don't know if I would have done it like that, but that's a little extreme for me. But hey, I might be a softie. I don't know. Maybe I need to get a little stronger in that area and get a little tougher. Uh, but that is just something that I know, that growing up and learning parenting, because we don't get a guide, we learn as we go. It's like an on the job training for the rest of our lives. We will experience things that we have never experienced before, and that is what parenting is all about: learning and growing, learning and growing, learning and growing throughout your life, learning and growing, learning and growing. It's going to be always, every day, all day. You're going to be learning and growing, learning and growing. Okay, we do parent according to what we have seen, but we do treat our sons and daughters. Oh boy, Dr. Beverly, you hit it. You hit it on the head. You hit it on the head. We parent them with all love and care, but then because of a spirit called emotion. Yes, it seems as if we treat them differently, but we don't see it until sometimes it is. That is right. Absolutely. Okay. Okay. Hey, free creations, what's going on? What you know good? Happy Monday to you. Thank you so much for being here. We just talking. The title, I wasn't able to put a title up here on my Facebook Live family with you all. But we talking about another way to take out the trash. My husband and I was having a discussion about trash. My son, he's supposed to take out the trash, and he didn't take out the trash. He didn't take it out. So my husband was like, well, put it in his room. If he don't want his room to stink, then guess what? That trash will be taken out. Either way it goes, whether it's in the kitchen or his room, that trash will be taken out. But then we shifted and started talking about parenting. And because my husband and I, he's older than I am, and he'll be going into the 60s, the latter part of this year. And then I'm actually still in my mid 40s. I'll be turning 47 this year. And we were just talking about the different eras and growing up in the different parenting styles. But when you are parenting a son and a daughter, it is totally different. And I realized that. And a lot of those things I didn't realize until my daughter felt like she was comfortable enough and confident enough to share it with me, to tell me, and to feel like I wasn't going to respond. And if you all would love, and I'm just going to put this in there before I forget, because I don't never announce it, but if you all would love the content that I bring to you when you stars, that will help me to create the content and continue giving it to you. So if you do give stars, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. But my daughter felt like that she was confident enough to tell me these things of how it was when she was growing up. She did not like the fact that I hollered at her a lot. I yelled at her a lot. So now, as growing up, I noticed that she does not like that even now. And I don't do it now, but there are some times where I know that my voice will elevate. So when I feel like it's elevated, she'll look at me and she'll just clock out. She'll be like, And she has this saying where she say, I'm Tashering. That's what she says to me. She says, when I get like that, she's like, nope, you doing your Tasha thing right now. And no, And I don't want her to be like that. And my son, he's totally different. Raised him differently. You're right, Beverly. When we have a son and a daughter, we raise them differently. And I want to know, why is that? Is it because they are different? As far as him being a male, them being males, and females, because we all are different in all areas, of course. Oh Lord. That is definitely free creation. That's a new territory. YouTube family, I'm not ignoring you, because I know y'all in here on this conversation as well too. But that is new territory for me. But this is a question I want to ask y'all, and please y'all answer this in the comments, because I want to know if y'all thought the same thing. How do you feel parenting, and when do you stop parenting? That is my question. And some people would say you never stop parenting. But when does a parent stop parenting? I feel like a parent should stop parenting when they become an adult. Now, I could be wrong, but that's just in my experience. Now, my son, on the other hand, he's 18, so society says that he's legally an adult, but he haven't really experienced adult life yet. So I would still parent him in a way where I'm not treating him like a child, but a young adult. So that's a different era. I mean, that's a different space for me right now. And honestly, I am being challenged in that space with parenting him. Now, my daughter, on the other hand, she's in her late 20s, and I don't feel like I should still be parenting her. That should be a line right there. That should be a stop. Parents, like, what age do we stop parenting our children? At what age do we stop parenting our children? That's a question I want to ask my YouTube family and my Facebook family. What age do we stop parenting our children? I think I mentioned this before, but my mom and I, we had a conversation a while ago. This was a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago. And I said to my mom, I said, Mom, I said, you're always talking to me through the eyes of a mother, like telling me what I should do, how I should do it, the way I should do it. I said, you don't talk to me through the eyes of a daughter. You don't see me as a woman. You don't talk to me through the eyes of woman to woman, like mother to mother, you know, believer to believer. Yeah, she does that a lot. We talk about a lot of things pertaining to God. We have wonderful relationship with that, because she's my spiritual mom as well as my natural mother, which is the best of both worlds to me. But she and I had to have that conversation, and that was hard for me to come to her and tell her that Mom, you are still talking to me through the eyes of a mother, like you still parenting me. I am a grown woman. There are things that I will do that you will not approve of, that you may not like. But my life is my life, and your life is your life. And I know that my mom was definitely raised in a different era than I was. Totally different. A lot of the things that she experienced in her time growing up, it was totally different from me. And we just did not see eye to eye on a lot of things. Sometimes, even now, it's a whole lot better than it used to be. But if your mom is still living, or if your dad is still living, do you feel like you are still being parented by them? Do they talk to you still through the eyes of a mom or through the eyes of a dad? Do they still talk to you or still parent you, still try to tell you what to do with your life? And look, I'm not speaking anything ill on our parents. I love my mom. I love her. My dad, he's deceased. And my stepdad, but he is my dad because he raised me. He's been in my life. My biological father, he's still alive. He's never been in my life. That's a whole nother conversation we're gonna have at a later date. But my mom, when I came to her with that conversation, she looked at me like she was speechless. She didn't know what to say. And to me, I'm glad that we had that conversation because now I feel like that when we have conversations now, I can talk to my mom about anything. When I say absolutely anything, I talk to her about just about anything. Life, I ain't gonna go too deep. That's gonna be for the subscription. When you soon I'll be doing a membership where you will get content like that real raw content. I ain't gonna do it here because some of y'all ain't gonna y'all will be grabbing your pearls. Let me just say that y'all gonna be clutching them like, oh God, I can't believe Tasha said that. Yeah, Tasha said that. If you really want to get to know who I am and really get to know what I'm about, then become a part of that membership. Just stay tuned because it's coming up. But my mom, what age do we stop parenting our children? At what age do we stop parenting them? So that's a question that I'm going to leave for you all today. It actually shifted. We still was talking about taking out the trash. Another way to take out the trash. Uh, but I wanted to just come on and just talk to you all about that, about parenting and the communication and the different parenting styles. How do you get your children to take out the trash when they know it's their job? We shouldn't be telling them more than once. You need to take out this trash, sir. Oh, let me ask you this question too. Let me leave you with this one. Now, do you feel like sons should only take out the trash or daughters should take out the trash? Now, when it was just me and my daughter, she took out the trash. Now that I have a son, they're 12 years apart. So now he take out the trash, but not all the time because he's working most of the time. He's not here. I think we are always parenting, but it looks different. However, it should be more hands off. Oh, come on here, free creations. I'm trying to see the rest of this Facebook be tripping sometime, y'all. However, it should be more hands off and in an adversary role. I totally agree with that. I truly do. It should be more hands off. Like when your child comes to you and talks to you about something and you want they want your opinion or your advice, or they just want you to listen to them, just listen. If they didn't ask you for your advice, don't give it. Don't volunteer it. Uh-uh. Don't volunteer. Hey, my sister Cherise, how are you? Thank you so much for being here. Girl, you was about to miss me because I was about to be out. But I'm just asking some questions and just leaving some questions with the audience, with my family on here, my YouTube family and my Facebook family. In the early part, guidance, which should hopefully lessen as they get older. Oh my God, that is such a powerful statement. It should lessen because growing up, they should remember what we have taught them. And they should already have that active in their life. I know that the things that my mom taught me growing up, I still use them actively in my life. She taught me about integrity. She taught me about character. Hey, sugar boo. She taught me about, just loving and caring for people and just, being off, just being there, just being who you are and just giving your heart and just loving them unconditionally. When I tell you my mom loves people unconditionally, she does just that. Just that. But parenting should now, when they are adults, parenting should be more hands off in just an advisory role. Free creations, I definitely agree with you on that. Absolutely. And it should just be guidance. And now at the 18-year-old stage, hands on, hands off. Because if you got your hands on them too much, when you're parenting them, they gonna feel like they're suffocating. My son. Well, my husband told me this too. I didn't want to believe him, but he's a male. He know what boys do, and I was afraid. I never had a son before. This is this is our youngest son. And then we have two older sons, but this is just what I felt like. I thought I was doing right by our youngest son because of the way the world is. And I had a tight grip on him, but I didn't realize it until my son said to me, he said, Mom, he said, respectfully, would you please stop helicoptering me? That's the term that he used. And I was like, what does that mean? He said, basically, Mom, stop suffocating me. I'm all right. Just let me learn, let me live. Basically, that's what he was saying to me. And I was like, oh man. And then that's when it hit me like, oh God, I do have a tight grip on him because I wouldn't let him do certain things. And I seen a reel recently where this guy was talking about, he was talking to basically to the teenagers, and he was telling the teenagers, don't get upset when your parents tell you no. Your parents are telling you no for a reason, because when your parents tell you no, it's God's way of protecting you, but you don't see it at the moment. All you seeing or are you hearing at the time is that your parents said no, you can't go to this party. Your parents said no, you can't go to this football game. Your parents said no, you can't go to spend a night, over your friend's house. It's a reason why that your parents saying no. Now, some parents saying no because they are really trying to keep a hold onto them, onto that child, and they don't want them to grow up. They don't want them, it's like some parents have this phobia, that which I think is not normal, that they have this phobia where they won't let their child grow up and be them. Like, let them be who they are. And I'm learning that now with our son, with Jeremiah. He is, and I have to trust that he knows and he's learning, because he's a good judge of character. And when I pray, when my husband and I pray, we have to leave it with God. My husband, he's telling me that more lately. He'll say to me, babe, if you don't pray about it, leave it alone. Let God handle it. You too, family, y'all are parents. If you have children that are at a certain age in your life, at a certain age in their life, don't suffocate them, because that will potentially, I don't want to use that word, that will potentially stifle them. It will stop their growth, and they won't move in the direction that God will have them to go in. And that's what I'm learning now. You all, it's been tough. A lot of things that I've experienced within the past few months has been challenging for me. The things that made me cry, like tears come to my eyes, like, why is this happening? And then God had me to reflect when I was growing up. I did things that made my mama cry. I did things that made tears come to her eyes. I did things that, hurt her feelings. Even as an adult, I did things that hurt her feelings. And that didn't make me feel good when I reflected on those things and I thought about it. So being a parent is the toughest, the hardest, but it's the best job in the world. Because when you see your children are doing well and that they are living out what you taught them, that's a blessing all in itself. That's a blessing all in itself. But thank you. I'm glad that y'all were here. Thank you so much for just tuning in with me and for just listening to what I had to say. Sometimes, y'all, I just really don't even know what I'm going to say when I get on here. I really don't. Um, He will shift that conversation and it will go a different direction. But maybe I'm pretty sure it's for a reason. And I love how God is moving in me and through me in this time in my life. And it's wonderful. There are some challenges along the way, but he didn't say it was going to be easy. Y'all remember that song by Reverend James Cleveland? I don't feel no waste time. Oh Lord, I come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me that the road would be easy. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me. And that is something that I realize now, that I don't feel no ways tired. That it's challenging, but it's good. It's real good. I don't feel no waste tired. I come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me that the road would be easy. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me. Mm, I didn't know I was going to do that. Lord Jesus. Well, listen, I love y'all. My name is Tasha Tanks. I am your go to domestic abuse coach, where I'm shaking the silence around domestic abuse, where we turn pain into power, silence into strength, and survivors into leaders to inspire awareness, accountability, and transformation. If you all don't know about my brunch that's coming up July the 12th in Charlotte, North Carolina, it will be at my home church where God has taken me back to. He has a reason for all things that he does. My brunch is called The Onion, peeling back the layers, because we got to get down to the core things of our healing. And I know it's painful, I know it hurts, but healing is messy. Healing is frustrating. Healing is lonely. But guess what? Healing is also necessary. And we got to have it so we can get to the healed part. But we got to go through the healing part first. But I just want to invite you to come. If you are local in the area, I would love to see you there. Come and fellowship with us. I will be speaking on that day. And I also will be celebrating a child abuse domestic survivor. I will be celebrating them on that day as well. And I would love to see you there. We will be eating. Our menu is fish, not fish, but shrimp and grits. That will be our menu for that particular day. And I hope to see you all there. You can go to the Eventbrite page, search the word The Onion, and the information will come up. Tickets now are on sale. You can buy two for the price of one, because hey, I want you to invite somebody with you. And if you would love to donate, there's also a donation link on there as well where you can donate and still come. Please, I would love to see you there and grab you and hold you and hug on you and meet you if I've never met you before. If I only met you online and you're local, I would love to see you there. I hope y'all have a wonderful day. Until next time, I pray that the Lord will open up my eyes in the morning and breathe breath into my lungs so I can breathe and talk to you tomorrow. I love you. Have a wonderful day.